All right, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight here to Michael's Diner here in Bensalem. Bensalem, a stalwart Republican area in Bucks County. Some of the local folks are here with us to discuss my candidacy, my campaign to unseat the incumbent Republican Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick. And I say Republican with a tongue in cheek, because we really have little evidence that Congressman Fitzpatrick is an actual Republican other than him sticking an R next to his name. But we'll talk a little bit about that later. And so one of the things that we're going to talk about here today is I'm going to recount some conversations that I've had with some local township supervisors around the county as I've been making my ways through Bucks County for over the past 60 days. One thing that is very evident that we're running into is that the local folks are saying, Andy, we are under siege from people coming in from different places like Philadelphia and New Jersey and Montgomery County, areas that have been overrun with liberal Democrat policies that are forcing people to leave. Things like sanctuary cities, high taxes, crime, and drugs, all the things that are affecting the surrounding counties are coming into Bucks County, and the people that are coming in are bringing their voting registration with them. And so the challenge for the local folks is to get to these folks when they come into the local area and say, hey, why did you leave Philadelphia? Why did you leave New Jersey? And the thing that they always say is, the taxes are crazy. I can't deal with the crime and the taxes, and I had to get out of there. And so they say, well, you know, if you don't want the same thing to happen in your townships here in Bucks County, you're going to have to change your registration and vote Republican, because we're here to fight against those things. And if you don't do that and you vote for Democrats, you're going to bring that same thing that you left behind in your old jurisdiction over to our new jurisdiction. And so that's a big thing, and I know the folks on the ground are fighting that every day. And the temptation, and what I think has happened to some degree, is that the Republican Party has kind of rolled over and is not fighting to reclaim our county. And when I say reclaim it, I mean we stand up for what we believe in, and we sell to the people why our way is the better way to do it. We need to make our case to these folks. They're moving out of these areas because of these reasons. They should be able to be convinced that, you know what, we need to preserve what is here. And the reason why what is here is because of Republicans and because of conservative values of low taxes, of law and order, sticking with the U.S. Constitution, protecting our civil rights, our Second Amendment rights, standing up for life and liberty. And so this is what it's all about. And it's very important that us as Republicans unite around this message. So what's not happening is that we are not uniting around this message. What's happening is that we have Congressman Fitzpatrick, for example, as our representative, and he's not standing up for our values and our rights. He's going around the county promising this thing and that thing and placating the Republicans, and then he goes down to Washington and he votes like a Democrat on everything from immigration and the wall. He wants to put no money up for a wall, but he'll go down there and bemoan these detention centers being overcrowded. They just named Bucks County a high drug trafficking area, and part of the reason why we have that is because we've got this open border on the southern part of our country, and people and drugs are just flowing over it, and they're ending up in our communities. So we end up with illegal alien felon drug dealers dealing heroin and fentanyl around our county. We had Stacey Combs here had noted that we've had major busts in Bucks County just in the last few weeks alone with illegal alien drug dealers. They have a corporation, a cartel that's being run south of the border, and they're doing business in our communities. And the congressman, by not backing border security and the wall, is complicit in this corporate scheme, okay? And so we need somebody who's going to stand up with the president and say, you know what, time out, we need to reclaim our border. We need to force those drug dealers to get a little more creative and spend more of their own money to find ways to get those drugs in the country. We're not going to stop them altogether, but we have this open border that they can just walk across them. And when they tell us that, well, all those drugs come in through the points of entry, how do they know that? How do they know that? You don't know what the guy with the backpack on his back is carrying on his back if he doesn't get caught. Okay? So a lot of these drugs are still coming in across a porous southern border, and it needs to be shut down. And Congressman Fitzpatrick can spend all of our taxpayer money that he wants for opioid addiction and more detention centers and transportation and legal services and diapers for people that are in the country illegally. But that's not the solution. The solution is to take control of the border, build the wall that we need, and to force them to take another path for them to do their dirty work in America. So that's one thing that I'm really going to stand up for. And the other thing is that we don't have unity because we see our congressman going down to Washington and playing patty cake with the Democrats, voting like a Democrat, standing up and ostracizing the president for standing up for our values and our country. And if we're going to have a unified ticket in November of 2020, when the president is going to be on the ballot again, the president is going to win. President Trump is going to get reelected in November of 2020. So Bucks County needs to come together and have a respectable Republican that's going to stand up and with the president on that ticket. Not a rhino. We don't want somebody on that ticket who thumbs his nose at the president, doesn't support the president, calls him a racist, and gets into bed with all these Democrats that are attacking the president. Let's talk about this attack on the president for a second here. Congressman Fitzpatrick, the FBI corruption specialist, okay? You would think that Congressman Fitzpatrick would be either ashamed of the FBI or would be coming out for the prosecution of James Comey and Robert Mueller. But no, he doesn't do that. He comes out in defense of the Mueller investigation. He comes out in defense of James Comey, and he's done it over and over again. We have him on public record of this. If you go to my website, meehan2020.com, in the Fitz Watch section of my website, you will see many instances of the congressman standing up for the absolutely thoroughly corrupt and disgusting leadership of the FBI under President Barack Hussein Obama, and Congressman Fitzpatrick is dead silent. I'm calling on you, Congressman Fitzpatrick. Stand up and say something about those bums, corrupt people in the FBI that you worked for and now you say nothing about. Come on out, Congressman, and stand up for the rule of law. They were targeted illegally using the CIA, the FBI, the DOJ, all of these instruments of big government to come after our president illegally, and you say nothing about it. Shame on you. Shame on you, Congressman. So, Congressman Fitzpatrick, let me tell you something. I've been going around the county for the past 2 months. I've been speaking to a lot of Republicans. I have not met one that says they're satisfied with you, Congressman. So you're hanging on to your seat because of your money and your name, okay? And the end is coming to that. People are fed up. They've had it, okay? The committee people have had it. The little people have really had it. The voters are done with you, Congressman Fitzpatrick. So you can keep dancing around the county, taking your photo ops with all the Boy Scout troops and every liberal constituency you can. But us people here that wear the red hats, okay, that stand for the Second Amendment, that stand for life, that stand for liberty, that stand for justice, we are done with you, Congressman Fitzpatrick. We're done.
That's right.
Now, I've heard some people say that a conservative Republican can't win in PA District 1. And you know what I say to that? That's nonsense.
Nonsense.
When was the last time we ever tried to have a conservative in PA District 1? When was the last time a congressman, a candidate for Congress in PA District 1 stood up to defend liberty, stood up to defend conservatism, and made the case as to why our way is the better way? We haven't had it. So I'm going to do that, all right? I'm just a businessman from Bucks County, but I've lived in this district for 36 years. I'm a financial advisor by trade. So I know what government policies do to people with taxes, making a living, all these things that affect us people that have to go around our business every day. We just want to be left alone by the government. We want to keep the money that we earn so that we can decide how to spend it and not have the government spending our money for it, because the government does a terrible job in spending our money. The dollars that get sent down to Washington should be repatriated back to the states and the local communities where people on the ground closest to where the money is spent can walk into their local township supervisor or their county office and say, "You're not doing it right. I know you. We see each other. You have access to these people." We don't have access to Congressman Fitzpatrick because he doesn't answer phone calls from people in his district that are pissed off at him. Okay? Yeah! I've heard it over and over again. "Oh, Andy, man, yeah, he's just angry and disaffected." Well, guess what? Yeah, we are angry. We are angry. Because you're not standing up for what we believe in, and you put an R next to your name, and you get the people up in Doylestown like the emperor has no clothes. They ignore the fact that you don't vote like a Republican. And yeah, so we are angry. So you get people that have never been in politics before to stand up and say, "You know what? Time out. We're fed up. You got to get the politicians out of there and get some business people in," just like we did with President Trump. That's why the economy is rocking right now. That's why these deep state people in Washington are quivering in their boots, because somebody who's not part of the establishment, not part of the problem, has come in from the outside to solve some actual problems. And so that's what I aim to do as an outsider, to go down to Washington, not to go along to get along. Okay? I've signed a pledge that I will only do 3 terms as a congressman. I don't know if the congressman has signed this pledge. I doubt it, but he talks big about term limits. I think he talks big about term limits because he knows that none of the congressmen are going to vote to limit their own terms. The only way it's going to get done is through a convention of states. What is that? Well, we don't know. Most people don't, because the congressman never talks about that. I'm going to talk about that, okay? I am for term limits. I'm for a balanced budget amendment. The government is spending way too much of our money, racking up debt, and it's going to fall on the backs of our children. $22 trillion in debt we are, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing, and both parties are responsible for it, not just one. And it's because of we have these establishment politicians. They get in there in Washington, and sure, they'll vote more money for themselves. Guess who pays for it? We do, the taxpayers. And so we need some more fiscal conservatism to be brought to Washington and to get control of that place, because it's absolutely and completely out of control. So my message is a message of people that are fed up. That's true. But it's also a message of unity. We're going to win in Bucks County and bring the county together by standing up for the values that we all know Republicans and conservatives stand for. Limited government, less taxes, liberty, life, and justice. These are the things that we need to stand hard on. And we're not being represented properly. When somebody stands up and they know are going to represent these values, that's what brings us together. Okay? People might not like my style, they might not like this or might not like that, but we can all agree on the things that we hold near and dear to our hearts as conservatives. And those are the things that I'm going to stand up for. And I'm not going to be cowed, and I'm not going to be bullied around, because I don't care. I'm going to go and do what is right, and that's what I'm going to do. And if you'd put your trust in me and your faith in me, I would really appreciate that, and I promise you I won't let you down. And so before I finish and go to taking some questions from the crowd, I would like to say that we do have a website, mehan2020.com. You can go to that website and volunteer to help the campaign by knocking on doors, making phone calls, working the polls. We also have a place there where you can donate money. We do need money to run this campaign, and it's very important right now that we do raise some dollars, because my opponent has over $1 million in the bank, most of it which has come from special interests and wealthy donors from outside of the district. I collected about $5,000 for my campaign so far, and in my little $5,000 bank account, I have more individual donors from PA District 1 than the congressman has with his over $1 million in the bank. And that says something to everybody. That should say something. He's bought and sold.
Wow.
So thanks everybody for coming out, and I really appreciate your support, and I'll be here to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Do you remember when Mike